All right, I hope everyone could hear me.
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, thank you. So sorry about that. All right, welcome everyone. We're so excited to have you here today. My name is Sheila Shedd, and I have the privilege of serving on the Career Connectors Board of Directors, and just so excited to be here with you all today. First, you guys have already started communicating via chat. Please continue to do so. Tell us in the chat where you're joining us from and what you're looking for. Awesome. All right. And so also, if you have questions for our panelists today, please locate the chat button. Please engage in the conversation. Connect to a group or to individuals as you see fit. We're all here to help each other and we're all here to support each other. On the display, we want to make sure that you can control how the video of the speaker is displayed. So using the icons above, we always recommend using gallery view for the panel. Also, your screen name. Some of you may have iPhone listed. You can go ahead and update that, and please add your name. Also consider adding your industry or the job type that you're looking for, or the type of job that you're looking for. Um, and then also right after our panel, and as we share some resources, we'll also have an opportunity for you to join a break room. So we hope you'll stay and meet one-on-one with our speakers and our coaches who've all agreed to be here for you to ask additional questions that you may have after the panel. So we're really excited to get started here. And also we provide closed captioning. So if you want to use this URL, or you can actually put your phone up to the scan code and scan the code to provide some closed captioning for today's session. You're welcome to do so. And so just to quickly go over the agenda today, we've got our Resume Mythbusters panel that's going to be kicked off by Donna Tucker, Brenda Cunningham, Jerry Hurd, and Lucy Yeomans. We're so excited to have these experts join us today. It's going to be a really great opportunity for us to hear really what are hiring managers looking for in our resumes. As we know, that's usually the first interaction that we have when looking for our next role. Then we'll be able to hear directly from a couple of our hiring companies, Concentrix, represented by Ebony Weeks, and also Pearl Interactive Network, represented by Sharika Rhymes. So this is another great opportunity for us to hear directly from the experts who are doing the hiring. They'll be able to share what roles are available. Then also we'll end with resources to continue the conversation there. And then we'll also have a breakout room available for you to be able to choose your breakout rooms and spend some time with our experts one-on-one. So we really hope that you came prepared. There's a rich, as you can see, there's a rich agenda in front of us, and we've got a lot to cover. So we're really excited to have you here again. Please communicate with us with any questions that you may have. No question is off the limits. Just know that we're here to help you with your journey. And that's a really good example too. If folks want to add their LinkedIn um, profiles links, please go ahead and do that too in the chat. It's a really neat way to stay connected. And as you connect with each other as participants, we're joining from all over the country today. So it's a really great opportunity to continue the networking. And so before I introduce the panel, I'd like to share my career connector story. My background is actually in economic development and workforce development. And at the time, back in 2010, is when I actually met Jessica for the first time. And anybody who's met Jessica, you know that you are instantly impacted by her energy and her drive and commitment to help others. So right when I heard about Career Connectors, I was like immediately a fan and wanted to be an advocate for Career Connectors as a whole. And as Jessica, in her amazing way, it was a few years in, and as I was sending folks her way and just being an advocate for Career Connectors, she invited me to serve on the board, and I immediately said yes. And having served on the board, actually had the opportunity to serve as president during my tenure, and now back as board member. Just, I mean, I just continue to be amazed at what Career Connectors and the team has been able to accomplish over the years. One of the things that Jessica and I have always talked about was my desire for Career Connectors to be a mainstay across the country. And at the time, we were all meeting in person. And, Jessica also always knew that, hey, I know where you want us to go, Sheila, but we're not there yet. And then COVID hit. And now it's so nice to see, like, even though in the midst of the pandemic, with all the strife and all the crazy, there was a silver lining because Career Connectors was able to transcend not only Arizona state lines, but go across the whole United States, where now we have folks joining in because of the technology provided to be able to listen and hear from the resources that Career Connectors has been able to pour in to the community. So with that, I just am so excited that even though it's not the path that we thought that we would take, but it here it is. We're here to be able to support those that are on their career transition journey, and it doesn't matter where they are, and that's the beauty of it all. So I hope that even as things get back to normal and we start going back to our in-person events, that there still maintains an element of virtualness because of just the reach that we're able to do. So to get started, I'd like to introduce our panelists. Um, as I mentioned, we have the theme today is Resume Mythbusters, and so we'll be hearing from our experts on on resumes and just the really ins and outs of what is expected in a resume, what you need to keep in, what you need to keep out. And so with that, I'll turn it over first to Donna Tucker to introduce herself.
I have been in business since 1988, writing resumes, cover letters, and business profiles, and of course, recently LinkedIn profiles. I'm a certified professional resume and a nationally certified online profile expert, which means LinkedIn. We couldn't use the name in the certification because it didn't come from LinkedIn. I don't specialize. I'm pretty much a generalist, but I do everything from entry-level resumes to executive level resumes and federal resumes, which, as I'm sure you all know, are totally different from a private sector resume. And I really enjoy what I do, or I wouldn't be doing it for, what is it, 33 years now. Happy to be here, as always.
Thanks so much, Donna. We're happy to have you.
Oh, and I think Jessica would tell you that I'm one of the very first volunteers with this group, back when it was called something else, and I don't remember what it was called originally.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Donna, and thanks for your years of service. We'll turn it over now to Jerry Hurd Dutcher.
Rookie mistake, unmuting. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Jerry.
My name is Jerry Hurd Dutcher. My company is WorkRight, and I have certifications as a resume writer, an interview coach, career coach, job coach, training, and really what that means is that I've studied and passed examinations for each of those areas. In addition, I have a couple of decades of experience, maybe not quite as much as Donna, but close, in resume writing and career coaching. My candidates span nearly every industry, every level. Um, most of what all of that means is that I know the issues candidates face and how to overcome them. So I'm able to help them take sometimes those first steps toward what they want in a job and a career.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jerry. And we'll turn it over to Brenda to introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. Y'all are hearing the sore throat version of Brenda, but I'm gonna bring it anyway. So my company is called Push Career Management, and I'm doing exactly what I say in that name. I'm pushing myself to be here, fighting through a little bit of fatigue, but you all are worth it. And so my background is in engineering and project management. So I actually have a degree in electrical engineering, but don't let that scare you. All that means is that I can speak tech and I can translate effectively between tech and the rest of the civilian world. But I do tend to work with a lot of other disciplines as well. Pretty much the best person that works with me knows what they want to do, but not necessarily how to accomplish it. So they might struggle with mindset or technique or strategy, but I help with that. So my credentials also are in certified professional resume writing, job search strategy, and career management. And I love, there's something very special about kind of making the light bulb go off for folks. And I'm so excited about the resume conversation today because there are so many people who are struggling needlessly. They think their resume is working for them and it's not, and it may be such a simple fix. So I can't wait to help you diagnose some of those things today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brenda. And we really appreciate you pushing through being under the weather. It's just such a great example of just pushing through. Thank
Show
you.
it up.
And last but not least, we'll turn it over to Lucy to introduce herself as well.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name's Lucy Yeomans, and I have certifications in resume writing, LinkedIn profiles, job search coaching, career coaching, and interview prep, which is one of my favorite aspects of the job is interview prep. So if any of you have questions about that, I'd be happy to answer that as well. I've been doing this for about, well, full-time for about 7 years. My company is Your Career Ally. And I was in the corporate world for about 10 years, high tech, and was in nonprofits for a few years and education for a few years. So my experience spans quite a bit of different industries and backgrounds. And my specialties really are college students, new college grads, and executives. So 2 ends of the spectrum, but I help everybody in between in different industries in between as well. So I look forward to answering your questions and hopefully seeing you in breakout room later.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lucy. And so we're going to get right to it. So to kick us off, again, if you'd like, we just recommend if you would put everybody on gallery view so that way you could see everybody on your screens, folks. And so to get started, I'm going to ask, what is the biggest mistake you've seen on a resume? And I'll ask Lucy to kick us off.
Okay, so the biggest mistake that I think I see on resumes is putting your contact information in a header instead of in the body of the resume. If you put your contact information in the header, it's not seen by an applicant tracking system. It's completely ignored. So your resume will be kicked out automatically just because you can't find the contact information.
Wow. Anyone else want to jump in and share their thoughts on that?
I have opinions.
Donna? Okay, we've got different opinions. It looks like Donna raised her hand. I'll go to Donna first. Okay.
Okay. I think the biggest mistake is people talking about stuff they've done rather than what they've accomplished and the contributions they've made and the impact of those contributions and their value to a company. A resume is not a history so much as it is a sales pitch.
And that's
Awesome. Thanks,
precisely
Donna.
where my brain was, is that I do typically see so many people just kind of listing everything they've ever done, as opposed to painting a picture of here's how I'm qualified for this specific thing that I want to do. And so we cannot be afraid or too lazy or too tired or whatever to do the work to paint that picture. So I don't care if you're pursuing 5 different types of jobs and you have 5 different types of resumes, because it is not just one size fits all. Let me just throw everything at you and hope something sticks.
Love that. Thank you, Brenda. And Jerry, what are your thoughts? What is the biggest mistake that you see on resumes?
The other 3 panelists really have covered it. I would say your name, your contact information, and accomplishments are the 3 things that I see left off most often. But I have to tell you about this one huge mistake resume that I got one time. The guy had about 15 or almost 20 years of experience. So this wasn't a resume rookie, but he submitted to me a 1-page resume, which is a mistake for somebody with that much history. All of the copy was centered, and it was in bright teal ink. It was just alarming to look at. I know. So don't do that.
They say to be creative, but there's, there's limits.
Yeah.
Yes, not so much.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. I'll start off with you, Brenda. Can you tell us about your resume background and certification, and why should we listen to you as the experts?
I love that question so much, because I cannot tell you how many folks are like, oh, my wife looked at my resume, or my neighbor looked at my resume, or this person in HR looked at my resume. And I'm like, how awesome, but do they know what are the mechanics, what's going on behind the scenes, what the process is that this resume is going through? In what Lucy mentioned, the applicant tracking systems. And so it's like, do these individuals understand what the journey of the resume that's actually happening? And I think so often people mean very, very well. They are very well intentioned and they want to help you. And so they're going to give you their opinion. But a lot of times those opinions are not informed or educated or qualified opinions. Mm-hmm. So yes, they mean well, and you might want to appease them by just listening to their advice. But the best thing to do is to really talk to somebody who understands that resume journey, who understands what the recruiting and hiring community is looking for, who understands the operation of an applicant tracking system. And I'll put it very simply. If you are submitting resume after resume after resume and you're not getting any kind of response whatsoever, something is broken with your resume and you need to talk to an expert. And so these credentials, as Jerry mentioned, all they do is just validate that we know what we're talking about. We've been tested, we've been measured, assessed. Somebody looked at it and say, okay, you know what you're doing, let's go. And so that should help you have a degree of confidence. But yes, just going at it alone or thinking or looking at a book and assuming that you know how to apply that to your unique situation can sometimes be a very costly mistake, and it costs you more to kind of hold out in that mistake, right, than it does to invest in the darn expert in the first place. So it can be a challenge, but I understand, and I just encourage you to listen to the people who know as opposed to the people who think they know.
If you don't mind, I'm going to interject just really quickly. Excuse me. So we've had a couple people, this is new. Actually, Donna, you said what's going to be new about today. This is it. A couple of people are interested to know, how do they become certified resume experts? Like, how do you go about doing that? So since a few people have asked, I thought maybe you could address that just quickly.
Yeah, go ahead, Donna, because you're on the NRWA executive board. I think that would be perfect.
Yes, join a national organization. And personally, I think the National Resume Writers Association would be the best bet. They have training programs that are just amazing. And I've never heard a negative word about the learning from any of them, or from the results of any of them. There's certification programs through the NRWA. There's monthly webinars through, and you don't have to be a member to take the webinars, by the way, just like the Resume Writers Council of Arizona, of which we are all members. We have monthly trainings too in how to get better at our craft and to better help our clients. So a lot of it's education, education, education. And joining with like-minded people who can help mentor you too.
Great advice. Thank you. Jerry, what are your thoughts? What are why should we listen to you as the experts?
Because you don't know what you don't know. And I think Brenda, that's what Brenda was saying too. Most people, I mean, I don't do my own plumbing. I don't do my own dentistry. I don't expect to be a professional and an expert in fields I haven't studied. And if you haven't studied resume writing, you're probably not going to know enough about, you know enough about yourself, but you don't know necessarily what to put in the resume, and sometimes more importantly, what to leave out.
Yeah.
Right.
So that you communicate your marketing message well enough. That it takes skill. The writing is, even if you're a good writer, you may write what you write very well, but if it's not pertinent, it doesn't matter.
Right, right. And I love how you mentioned how it's no different than going to see a dentist, no different to see a mechanic, and the fact that you guys still continue to go to monthly trainings to really sharpen your craft, because you're hearing from hiring companies what they're looking for, so you're able to pivot and change based on trends, because those change on a regular basis. Thanks for sharing
Absolutely.
that. Lucy, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic.
Well, it's hard to add to what everybody else has said here, but I think I can speak for maybe all four of us here. We're all pretty much professional development junkies. We are all part of those associations that Donna mentioned, and others in addition to that, and just trying to stay on top of the latest trends and what is it that recruiters or hiring managers, decision makers, what are people looking for, and trying to stay on top of that.
Beautiful. Thank you, ladies. And so, speaking of resumes and what to keep in and what to keep out, we'd love to hear about your thoughts. Brenda, to kick us off, what are the most important things to have on a resume?
Oh gosh, that's such a big question, but I like it. I'll start, and I'm sure some of the co-panelists here will fill in some gaps, but certainly value. And listen, I'm not a woo-woo kind of person. So when I say value, I mean that thing. I'm not talking about, we're not getting crazy here. Come on. Value. What is it that you can do for me? What is it that you bring to the table? What are the skills, the specific, hard, tangible skills that you can do for me? Because I need you to remember, job seekers, that if I am the employer and I have 1,000 people applying for my one job, then I don't care yet what you want from your career. I care what you can do for me. And so I'm trying to be very plain and real with you guys. So because we tell the truth here, right? And so if I'm one of 1,000, I've got to make sure I paint a picture that says, hey, I can do something for you that not everybody can do. This is why you need to pay attention to me. And so that boils down to putting some of your actual results. Don't say things like I'm results driven. Tell me some of the darn results.
Yes.
Don't just tell me I was responsible for greeting customers. Tell me how well you did that thing, and tell me how you helped to calm down the upset ones, and that you did it in a high volume kind of pace. Tell me some of those things that matter. Like, answer this very important question. It's the shortest question, but it's super important. And here's the question. So what?
Mhm.
So what? So what you greeted customers? Why is that special? And so you have got to ask yourself that question. So yes, so I mean, content, yeah, we can be here all day. Your contact information, your summary, your experience, your education, your certification, if you speak other languages, all those things are important. Yes, 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 get them in there. But at the end of the day, have you painted a picture that answers that so what question for me that helps you to stand out against 1,000 other people?
Excellent, excellent.
She said it
Lucy.
all.
Yeah.
Good.
She really did. Lucy, what are your thoughts on that? What are some of the key things that you feel that there must be in a resume?
Well, in addition to what Brenda said, I mean, really, number one is having those quantifiable, measurable results to help the reader understand what you can provide to them and what can they do for you. And I love what Brenda said about so what. That's pretty much when I'm going through resumes and I'm writing them or I'm reviewing them, I'm asking that question pretty much with every job, every statement. So what? So what? What's special about that? And that really, I mean, that's the biggest, best thing you can do is to show your value. Why are you the best candidate? How are you going to stand out among all those other applicants? What can you do for them? And the other thing is to make sure that you are looking at that job description and are you tailoring that resume for that job description? Are the keywords in there? Are the right, the requirements that the job posting has, are you speaking to those requirements in your resume? Have you looked at it and compared the two? I mean, you hear people say you should customize and tailor your resume for every job posting. And yeah, you really should. And there are ways to do that where it's not like rewriting it every single time. And one of the key things is matching that resume to the job posting with keywords and making sure your requirements are covered in your resume.
Thanks so much, Lucy. And Jerry, what are your thoughts on that? Or anything that we might be missing?
Maybe just a little clarification. Lucy mentioned measurable results, and what I would add to that is use the numbers, use your metrics, and that's easier in some jobs than others. Sales, it's perfect, and social work, not so much. But pay attention to that all during the year. What did you improve? How much did you improve it? Do you have percentages? Do you have, dollars that you can say increased? Look for those kind of things. Keep notes on them. And then when it comes to updating your resume, use those because that's quantifiable. It means something to employers. They can see what happened when you worked.
And
Awesome
I love
advice.
that, Jerry. And I think that's another, just kind of to go back to that, why should I work with an expert? Because a lot of times simply being asked the right sets of questions can help you start paying to pay attention to the right kinds of details or data points at your job. And so if you don't know how well you're doing, you can't tell that story, but you might be asked a question that starts you to thinking and starts you to tracking. And next time you go to update it, it's even more powerful.
Love that. Love that. Thank you. And looks like we've got a question here. It says that there's so much emphasis on quantifiable numbers, but could you please explain how we can do this when your job is not sales or numbers results driven?
I think Jerry just explained that, but maybe she can say a little bit more.
I can.
Yeah.
I work a lot with artists, writers, social workers, psychologists, people who don't necessarily have metrics that, how would you even explain that? So what I ask them to do is give me examples No names, no identifying marks, but you worked with a client and they had some kind of success. Explain that and explain what kind of impact you had on their life. There's always some kind of improvement. You have to look for those things and be proud of them and want to tell about them. Make sure that you're always taking care of the person's privacy, or put a couple of examples together. That's no problem. But use those experiences, things that that you've done well. Use those as examples in the resume. Tell your story.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. And Brenda.
I would love to add, I've worked with a lot of like social workers and occasionally like teachers, right? And so it's like, how can I quantify, if I'm a teacher, well, okay, how many students?
Yep.
What were their test scores when they started? What were the baseline test scores? How did they improve over the course of the school year?
Yeah.
And so think about, again, where things were when you arrived, where things are, at the present moment. Think about also how you did compared to other people in the department. So even like in customer service, it might be difficult to quantify, but how many customers did you serve in a day?
Yeah.
What were your survey scores or what have you? How did your average survey scores compare to the departmental average survey scores? And so did you put some new spreadsheet together that saved time or saved a little bit of money? And so just again, asking those questions or having somebody in your corner to ask you those questions, you really start to spark the right kind of information in your resume.
And Lucy, I see your hand was raised.
Yeah, I was just going to add to what everybody else has said, in that there are two things that you can really do to help figure out how to answer that question or how to make your resume measurable and quantifiable. And one is, what are you measured on in your job?
Yeah.
So when you have a performance review, which I know a lot of companies don't do that, I don't get it, but in your performance reviews, what are you measured on? What are you being assessed by? So look at those things and measure those things. Talk about those in your resume. And then the other thing is scope. So like what Brenda was talking about, how many, what did your baseline scores look like as a teacher? But also you may be a project manager and you're managing, 3 projects a year that are multi-million-dollar projects, or that span over, 10 locations worldwide. So you're putting that scope, you're telling that story. So that's also measurable. The reader wants to know what you're capable of. How much can you handle yourself in a particular job? Are you able to handle the job that you're applying for? So those are the two things: scope and what are you measured on.
That's awesome. And it's so encouraging to know that even though if you're not in a traditional place where there are metrics and numbers, there is a metric somewhere. It just takes that time. Again, going back to why it's so important to work with you as experts.
I just saw, if I may, Sheila,
Yes.
Chris Leon asked what numbers or metrics are perceived as helpful rather than hurting. I just want to draw some attention to that, because sometimes if your average, let's just use customer service rankings or what have you. So let's say your average customer service score is, 7 out of 10, and it might, to me, that doesn't look very good. It looks like a 70%. You look like a C student. I'm not necessarily going to hire you. But if your average was 70% and the departmental average was 50%, I wouldn't say I did 70%. I'd say I exceeded the departmental average by 20%. You see the difference? And so there's just a way to use the numbers more to your advantage.
Love that. Love that. Thanks for adding that, Brenda. And Donna, we'd love for you to kick off on this question. What are some of the, for example, what about someone with a lot of work experience? How did they emphasize their soft skills?
With a lot of work experience, emphasize their soft skills. I think that personally, I think that should come out in their accomplishments. Soft skills are not quite as important to the applicant tracking software if you're uploading a resume as the hard skills are. So it just kind of, you can kind of incorporate it, I think, but I don't personally put a lot of weight on soft skills. I know they're important, but to get to an interview, it's the hard skills that you really have to focus on. Am I right, other ladies?
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly adding them to the accomplishments is huge. But I don't know, for me, I'm a jam-packed LinkedIn with a lot of those soft skills as well.
Yeah, okay, LinkedIn, yeah.
Other parts of the portfolio. But still, I don't know that they are not important, but I think that they are probably, I care more that you know how to do, use SQL Server, or, that you know how to use your C++ programming. But if the soft skill is important to this function, to this role, to team cohesiveness, then I'm going to be paying attention to that. So kind of knowing your audience there is going to be helpful too.
Yeah, but integrate them with the accomplishments. I wouldn't just list, I communicate well. I am very friendly. I'm exaggerating, of course, but I would show it rather than just state it as far as the
Looks like you had some controversy. What's up?
Great points, great points. Jerry, Lucy, would you like to chime in on this one?
Not sure I have anything different to add.
Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with Brenda and Donna what they've said. And I mean, so like if soft skills are emphasized in a job description, you probably want to make sure that you're incorporating those things into your resume when you're tailoring it for that job description. Yeah. And and you can do it in ways like time management. Let's say you're really good at time management. We'll show how you're good at time management, that you're able to juggle multiple things and deliver them on time, on budget, or anything like that. Or if you're saying that you're a great communicator, talk about how you've brought people together or how you're leading teams and you've been successful. So you're showing what you're doing.
Awesome. Great advice, ladies. Brenda, how do people handle employment gaps on the resume? For example, COVID closures, leave of absence, raising kids, unemployment, incarceration even.
Jesus, that's such an important question. And I'll bet probably a big chunk of this audience is facing at least one of those situations right now. For me, I have a line of demarcation, and that line is at 6 months. So once you cross over beyond 6 months, you've got to address the time, guys. You can't assume that people just know that you were doing your best. Talk about what you were doing for this period of time, because there are stigmas that now become associated with you if you have a long employment gap. And so I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not telling you how it ought to be. I'm telling you how it is. And so, and if this is how it is, then we know we got to address it. And so if I was incarcerated, I would say, talk about whatever work detail you were on while you were in prison, and use the state of Arizona or city of whatever jail system, prison system you were in, use them as the employer. Stop being afraid to put things in the experience section just because you weren't paid for them. And so if you did volunteer work, put volunteer experience is still experience. And so account for the time by talking about the experience. A lot of times folks have taken time off to be caregivers for their parents or grandparents. Talk about it. I was a caregiver for a loved one. Now, I will say that there is a thing called a mom penalties. So I am not a huge fan of talking about the fact that I raised my little kids on my resume, because some employers, not the best ones, but some will find a way to discriminate against you if you have small children. And so we have to just be mindful of that. And so we can, again, just why not just call it caregiving for a family member as opposed to saying I raised my children. And so whatever you're doing, account for the time. But listen, if you haven't accounted for the time, today is a very good day to start doing something constructive. And so you can start signing up for a certification, start taking some classes, volunteer somewhere, read some books, get involved. Join up. If for those of you who think you want to be resume writers, come on, join the Resume Writers Council of Arizona. Get involved and plug in and do something starting today. This is a good day.
Awesome advice. Donna, would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, my goodness, how could I add to what Brenda said? She is so comprehensive in her answers.
Yes.
I even forgot now what the question was. I enjoyed listening to her so much.
I love you, Donna.
Yeah.
Oh, gaps. It was about gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really with her on the 6 month. Sometimes you can cover gaps by just using years in your dates rather than months and years. And there might not be a gap, look like a gap at all. But only upper level people really can get away with just using the years. An awful lot of blue collar jobs count months to the time required for the position, as a requirement for the position. And if you don't have the months, you can lose almost an entire year worth of experience. So doesn't always work. And I see so many questions here in the chat that are very specific to their situations. And the whole thing is everybody's got a different situation, and it's got to be looked at individually. What might work for Jane isn't going to work for Joe. It could be the industry. It could be the amount of experience somebody has. There's just so many variables. There's no one right way to do anything in resumes. It's not a science so much as it is the art of knowing what to do, I think. Jerry has something to add to that.
Yeah, Jerry, let's hear from you.
I think the experience gap is the place where everybody says, how am I going to get away with this? And I would encourage you to be brutally honest, because what you bring in your resume is what you have to live up to the rest of that job and the rest of your career. So if you raised kids for 5 years, I'm with Brenda or whoever said, to say caregiving for a family member. I agree with that. But I tell you what, raising kids is wonderful experience for management. It's the same thing. So use all of those skills that you use, to raise your kids. You learned those and you experienced them and you have stories about them. So don't be afraid to use that experience that you have, no matter where it was, whether it was in prison, whether it was as a young mother, whether it was, even if you were ill. Again, I wouldn't say that. I would say sabbatical. But did you self-educate yourself? Did you join volunteer organizations? Did you read to kids or, something? You learned something. You didn't just, suffer for 5 years. There's something there. So just find it.
Love that. Love that. Such great reminders. And then another question that we'd love to ask is, especially for you, Lucy, we always hear that you must update your resume for each job. And some of you had mentioned it in your introductions. What does this mean and why is it important? And what do most companies look for in a tailored resume?
Okay, yeah, I did mention that a couple of times. So it's important because you want the reader to know that you are qualified for this particular job. And if you are sending a generic resume that doesn't show or doesn't match what they're looking for, you'll be overlooked because there will be a ton of other resumes that will match and will be tailored for that job. So looking at the keywords that are used in the job description, are you using those same keywords in your resume? That's an easy thing to do. Just make sure that your verbiage, your language is the same. The other thing is looking at the requirements. What are the requirements? Are you focusing on the same things that they're focusing on? And it could be just a matter of reordering bullets or adding just a couple more bullets. And you may even want to have some extra bullets on the side that you can swap in and out depending on the job. So you really want to make sure that you're standing out, that you are going to be at the top with your qualifications. And if you are looking at a job posting that you know you could do and you've got the experience, but you're not updating your resume to match that, then you're selling yourself short. You're not going to get it's unlikely that you will get the call for an interview. So do yourself a favor, take that extra 30 minutes and update it, tailor it. It's not a long period of time to do.
Right. Thanks, Lucy. Brenda, I saw your hand go up.
As I was hearing Lucy talk, like she was making so much sense that an analogy started to form in my head. And so I wanted to share this because it might help it make a little bit more sense to folks. But so think about it this way. If your spouse, your significant other, your friend, whatever, if you all are having these conversations, and let's just say we're coming up on like Christmas time or what have you, it's the gift giving season. And you've been dropping all these clues about the things that you like and the things that you need and the things that you want and the things that you desire. You've been dropping the clues. The trail of breadcrumbs has been there, but they weren't listening. They just got you a vacuum cleaner. Now you're mad, right? And so, but what if they had actually listened, that every time you said, I really, really like peaches, I really, really like this thing, I really, really like cake, I really, really like, gold rings, I really, really like this thing. What if they listened and got you the very thing that you have been telling them the whole time you really, really wanted? And so that's what they're doing, guys. These job descriptions, they're breaking it down for you. They're giving you the darn keys to the kingdom. They're giving you the treasure map. They're saying, hey, if you got this, and this, I want to talk to you. So don't give them a resume that says, yeah, I can do all these other things, but you never bothered to mention the specific things they were looking for. Listen, we got to listen. And then we got to make sure that that same information corresponds to our resumes. And it's going to just help increase the probability of the callback.
Love that. Jerry, you raised your hand.
What I hear from clients a lot is that they want to write one resume and they're done. They don't want to tailor it. And I get it. It's hard. It's not easy to do, especially if you've been doing this for 6 months. I get that. What you run into is if you're tailoring your resume and you find that it takes you, 2 hours to do this, you're likely applying for jobs that are getting too far from your target. You said that you wanted to be, sales representative. But there is this administrative assistant job over here that you kind of like too. That's the sales representative resume is not the one you can use for the administrative assistant. You just can't. It requires practically opposite skills. I've never met a sales rep that liked to keep records. I've never met an admin assistant that loved to sell. So, it's not useful. So if you're having trouble tailoring your resume, look back at your original target and stick to that. Many people use a shotgun approach and say, oh, well, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. So they put all of that on one resume and send it out to the world. And they don't get any answers because nobody can figure out what they can do. Focus. Focus on that one target that you identify. If that doesn't work for you in, say, 3 months, move to your next focus. But doing them all at once does not work.
Excellent, excellent advice. Lucy, Donna?
We're good. I'm good. I'm sorry. I don't want to speak for Lucy.
Okay.
No, yeah, that's fine, Donna. I'm good.
We've got a lot left to cover here.
I know. It's such great information, guys. And so one of the things I want to make sure that we get to is we always hear about getting past the applicant tracking system to ensure your resume gets to the hiring manager. What are some of the key things that you would recommend that folks do to make sure that they get past that applicant tracking system? Donna, we'll start with you.
Well, everybody's been talking about this as we've gone along. It's getting all those keywords in there. It's looking at the job posting and making sure that you're focused on what the job posting wants. And that's why it's so important, because when you upload that resume, the applicant tracking software is looking for the certain keywords that are in the posting. If you don't have them in your resume, they're not going to ever find you. They're never going to know how worthy you are of an interview. And you've got to also be careful if in your industry or in your last job, you called something a gadget, and the job posting calls it a what's it, you want to kind of change your terminology to meet that job posting. The computer can't always translate. I mean, they're getting more and more sophisticated all the time, of course, but many people are still using older versions of applicant tracking software, and we have to write to the lowest common denominator. But it's all about the keywords and, of course, the format. Do you want to go into the format of the resume now, or?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do
later?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. Let's
got to be careful that the applicant tracking software can read the resume. Be careful of the fonts you use, that they aren't so close that they touch, so that they run together. We don't want any columns or boxes. That's why when Lucy said earlier about putting the contact information in a formal header at the top of your resume, applicant tracking software cannot read headers and footers. So you've got to be careful that you write it for, and all this information is searchable, is researchable. There's no excuse really for making some of these mistakes if you just do a little due diligence on how to approach an applicant tracking software system. So there.
But it
Awesome.
can be very overwhelming. I say, I look at one of the comments from Nancy Blade. It says, don't use templates. And I think, perfect, Nancy, you get a
yes,
date
no.
today. Because I think there is a very real temptation to want your resume to look beautiful. You want it to look pretty. And so you download a template from the internet, from Canva, from Microsoft Word, and you really think you are giving it all you got and you're doing your best and you're showing up to the task. But you don't, again, maybe not fully understand or appreciate the journey of the resume. And so while you're so focused on beauty and aesthetics, which are important, they are not the only factor. And so how are you emulating that? How are you duplicating that look? How are you physically using a template that can be very, very detrimental to your resume's journey? And so again, if you're going to use some of these tools, at least use them with a great great degree of caution. And a lot of this conversation, we're talking about applicant tracking software. Listen, guys, when there's a very real shortcut to some of these things, right? Want to know the magic word to shortcut front of the line is networking. That's like the shortcut. If you got somebody that's introducing you to the hiring person, like, we can just skip the line. We go right to the front. And we're not fooling with all this upload your resume and do all this and do all that. A lot of it, you just skip the line. And so, but what we are talking about is when you are applying for things over the internet, using Indeed, using LinkedIn, using whatever, uploading to a website, there are some you got to recognize you're playing a game, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, you're playing the game. And these templates and things can be very dangerous because, as Donna said, they cannot read the content of certain elements like text boxes and footers and headers, and we get real creative, looks real pretty, good on you, but it wasn't effective.
Excellent, excellent advice. And I know we're coming to the end of our time together. I mean, I feel like we can spend another hour on this. Really quick, because of the timing and the state of the world that we're living in right now, I think I'd be remiss not to ask this question. Has anything changed or adjusted on the way to create resumes based on the COVID pandemic? Yes, Donna?
I'd say that if you have that gap to cover, make sure that you've taken some classes or done something constructive. Have that you're not going to be able to compete with them if you have. I know that employers, job candidates these days, but still they want the best, and the best are going to say, I used my time wisely while I was home and sheltering, and I took some online classes, or if it was, I'm sure there's some volunteer work that you can do from home, things like that, to show that you are doing something constructive. I think that's a big one.
Awesome.
No,
I'd like to, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lucy.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add, for those who were fortunate enough to be employed during at least part of the pandemic, just showing your accomplishments, how you were involved in the evolution of your company or your department or your business. What did you do to contribute and pivot? So many of my clients that I've talked to have had to pivot so quickly and get into crisis management mode, and had to lead things that maybe they would never have thought they'd have to lead before. So I think emphasizing your contributions during COVID is worth mentioning. People that I've talked to, hiring managers, decision makers, have said that they are interested in knowing, what did you do? How did you help?
And I would just
Jerry, oh, sorry, Brenda.
I mentioned earlier that I'm not woo-woo, but I kind of am a little bit. And I'm gonna say a woo-woo thing right here. So tune in. Listen, this last year and some change has been stupid. It hasn't been kind. It hasn't been good in many situations. And so please, I will say it's a non-resume thing, but just give yourselves grace. Give yourselves kind of time to move at your own pace, because some of you are dealing with some real life and death kind of stuff. And so it's not just like, oh, I got to just keep pressing on and job search. Like you just buried somebody yesterday. Like, can you get a minute? And so like, take a minute sometimes, because then you allow yourself to be in a better headspace to do the better work and arrive at your destination even faster. So.
Awesome. Such a great reminder, Brenda. Thank you. And Jerry, we'd love to hear from you.
I was going to say something similar, because the clients I'm seeing now are, some of them are so upset that they're not very employable. And getting back to the space that they can concentrate on a job is difficult. If they're that overwrought, they're not ready to work. So I'm with Brenda to say, give yourself the time you need to heal from some of this. People have seen and done really awful things the last year. People who never imagined going to the food bank have gone to the food bank, and it did them harm. Their self-image suffered. So if you're one of those people and you're still carrying that, find a way to let it go. A lot of us did things that we didn't really appreciate this year. So understand that a lot of us are in that same position, and let it go. Move on from here. It's a really jaded, things will get better. They always do. Always. And don't lose hope. Hang on to that with, if it's your faith that helps you understand that, hang on to your faith. If it's the universe, if it's God, if it's whatever, hang on to that, because we're all going to get through this. And it just depends on how we come out the other side. So give yourself a chance to do that.
So beautiful. Awesome, ladies. Thank you so much for just not only being technical experts, but then also showing the human side of things as well. Like, that's so important, because when we are applying to jobs and putting ourselves out there, we are bringing our whole self to the workplace. And so it's such a good reminder. Thank you for that. And really quick, one last thing that we saw in the chat was a question regarding the format of uploading your resume. PDF versus Word doc.
Word.
Word.
Whatever
PDF.
they ask for. I mean, read your job.
That. But when you have the choice, you want Word, because PDF is a picture, and it might not get read by the applicant tracking software as well as a Word doc will.
Right. But sometimes they tell you what they want. And so be sure to pay attention to that first.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, ladies. Well, we can't thank you enough for your expertise and lending of your time this morning. We will look forward to having you in the break room. So folks, this is not the last time that you'll see them. Please stick around and be sure to visit them in the breakout room. Thank you, guys. Giving you all a virtual clap. Thank you. And thanks for all the questions that came through the chat. We really appreciate it. And there was a question regarding if there was going to be a space for all of the links to be in. There will be a blog, actually. There's a blog that we've been so fortunate to have volunteers literally document what we just talked through, and they're actually going to put together a blog. So visit our website. There's more information we'll share with that at the end of the event today. And yes, there will be a recording as well. All of the recordings are on our website as well. So we'll share that in a moment. Thank you again, Brenda, Jerry, Lucy, Donna. Thank you guys so much. And with that, we'll turn it over to our hiring companies. We're so fortunate to have two of them joining us today. The first is Concentrix. We've got Ebony Weeks, Associate Director for Talent Acquisition. Ebony is the Talent Acquisition Associate Director with Concentrix. She's been with the organization for over 9 years. Ebony started her career as a recruiter within agent recruitment, then transitioned into non-agent recruitment. Ebony was then afforded the opportunity to recruit internationally within Europe, Middle East, and Africa as a TA professional. She was most recently promoted into the Associate Director role to oversee all non-agent recruitment for North America. Ebony, we're so excited to have you here. We'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. So it is a pleasure to speak with you all in regards to the amazing opportunities that are available here with Concentrix. So a little bit about the organization overall, what we do. With Concentrix, we are a global business process outsourcing company with over 250,000 employees spanning about 40 countries across 6 continents. And overall, our goal is to deliver the best high value services and solutions to our clients. So essentially, we're a call center, a contact center. We do have operations across North America, which is my main focus. And we do have sites that have specific clients that they do support within the banking, healthcare, internet, as well as entertainment providers industry. So overall, we work to ensure that we are providing a high level of visibility, velocity, and value to our staff, clients, and our shareholders. And we essentially do our best to make sure that we are allowing ourselves as well as our clients to stand out within the marketplace. Next slide. Awesome. So this just gives a little bit more overview in regards to who we are, where our footprint is. As indicated, we are a global organization. So one of the things that I do love about Concentrix is that, even though you may start off within an entry-level position or you may start off supporting just North America, you have the opportunity to support a lot of our global partners as well. That is a testament to what I've been able to do. So being able to connect with individuals across the globe for any positions that we have. So it could be, someone coming in as a quality evaluator or a team leader, or someone coming in, looking to transition into a management position. We'll definitely give them the tools, the training that is necessary for them to advance their career here as well. All right, so we do have some amazing internal programs that do highlight, what we are, what we do, and how much we care about our employees. We do have a monthly initiative called Unsung Heroes, and we do call out the talent within the organization based on region to speak about what they've done for our clients, what they've done for our shareholders, and essentially what they bring to the organization in order to make the team effective in how we work and how we approach the industry. So a lot of things do take place within Concentrix to ensure that we are aligning with our company culture and that the employees are also aligning with the culture as well. So a lot of fun and engaging things do take place, aside from us learning to develop our careers. All right, so we do have some amazing opportunities that we are hiring for directly within Tempe. They are, some team leader, quality evaluator, as well as some agent level positions. These roles are not specific to work at home, but we do also offer some work at home opportunities within Concentrix as well. So if there is some interest in regards to the Tempe positions, or if there's interest in regards to the work at home roles, you do have the ability to go to careers.concentrix.com/United States to find out more about the amazing opportunities that we have. And this just gives you a brief overview of the roles that we are recruiting for within the Tempe market. Again, these are the positions that are hot opportunities, I should say, within Concentrix. So we do have great benefits that we do offer, not only just for the Tempe positions, but for all of the positions that we have across Concentrix. We do also offer a very competitive benefits package to include medical, dental, PTO, paid holidays, great sales programs for the roles that we have within Tempe, employee assistance program, and we do also have a referral program as well. Okay, and that wraps it up for me in regards to Concentrix, who we are. So if anyone has any questions in regards to the opportunities that we have, would like to connect one-on-one, I'll be happy to support and talk to them.
That was your last slide, Ebony.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ebony. And such great opportunities with Concentrix. So please, folks, visit their website. Sheila, thanks for dropping the link in the chats there. So it's good to hear that you've not only got positions in Tempe, but you also have remote positions available. So thanks again, Ebony, for sharing those opportunities. And now we'll turn it over to Sharika Rhymes, who's representing Pearl Interactive Network. Sharika is a talent acquisition consultant with Pearl Interactive Network. She has been with the company for now 2.5 years. As the consultant lead, Sharika is responsible for project management and promoting strategies to proactively attract, source, interview, and select candidates. Her career in talent acquisition began back in 2004. Sharika has experience as a corporate recruiter and consultant, as well as executive administrative management, payroll, accounting, and customer service experience for a total of more than 17 years of experience in these fields combined. She's also a seamstress and enjoys crafting and jewelry making. Sharika will need to talk because I love jewelry. Thank you so much for being with us today, Sharika. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sheila. Good morning or good afternoon if you all are in different parts of the United States. My name is Sharika, and I'm a talent acquisition consultant with Pearl. And as stated, I've been with the company for about 2.5 years. I first started with the company as a human resource talent acquisition recruiter. And I worked closely with our build of a new call center in Tempe, Arizona that we had here. And then I transitioned over to a talent acquisition consultant lead. In that role, I handle our outreach and referral program as well. And I also lead our recruiting department on some of our strategic projects that we have. So that's just a little bit about myself, and thank you guys so much for having us here today. I am on the call with a colleague. She stepped away to join us in breakout, but I'll introduce her. Her name is Lee McCaskill, and she is residing in New Orleans. And so she stepped off the call, but she's here with me today, and she represents Pearl Interactive as well. Next slide, please. So a little bit about Pearl Interactive Network. We are a woman-owned business. We've been in business since 2004. We are a small woman-owned business, but we specialize in contact center staffing and contact center solutions. One of the things that we do, and we have the pleasure of working with a lot of our clients, operate federal programs. So we've worked with clients such as the U.S. Census Bureau. We've worked with the Internal Revenue Service. We also have our hands in telehealth. And so we work with companies like Optum RX. We work with the CDC. And we also have a contract that we've been on for about, this is our ninth year with the CCO program, which handles all of the open enrollment for Biden Care, or formerly known as Obamacare. And that office is in Winchester, Kentucky, and they do all of our open enrollment. Our corporate office is in Columbus, Ohio, where our CEO, Mary Corn, sits. She's a former social worker who is very passionate about providing employment opportunities in areas that experience economic barriers and in undeserving communities. And so because of that, we have received several awards, and one of them and certain certifications. And one of them is our Hub Zone certification, which means that we hire upwards of, you have to have 35% to have this certification, but right now we're at about 41% as a company that we're capturing as hiring individuals in these communities. So we're very proud of that. And we work closely and to gather our niche, which is our military veterans, our military spouses, and those who, or maybe some of our disabled community members, individuals with that work or reside on Native American community reservations. So we go into all of those geographically challenged areas and try to make sure that we're giving those individuals hiring priority. Next slide, please. So a little bit about some of our overview of Pearl's opportunities and kind of some of our benefits and what's basic requirement. Our corporate office, we staff a lot of individuals that support our call center functions. So that could be our operations managers, our payroll department, our human resources department. And then we also have a training department. All of our Pearl corporate office positions are benefit eligible for employees working at least 30 hours a week. Majority of our contract positions service our federal programs and are also benefit eligible. At this time, I have never staffed a position position that didn't offer benefits. So you really pretty much can say across the board, all of our roles have had benefits included. And majority of the time we'll offer a health and wellness benefit, which is paid out hourly. That will oftentimes make your benefits free. So candidates need to be at least 18 years of age or older, have a high school diploma or equivalency, and the ability to pass a drug screen or background check. Sometimes we have Department of Defense suitability clearance because of the programs that we service our federal clients. They may have a little bit more stricter of a background clearance to go through. That may include fingerprinting. It may include a suitability clearance. It may even require that you have a level fingerprint clearance card. But for specific details regarding each role, I'll ask that you guys visit our site. And that is at www.pensourcing.com/jobs. So right now, Pearl, we have our powerhouse going on. We actively have more than 134 CSR levels roles just by themselves that we're recruiting for. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that. We currently have 10 salaried professional roles, and that will be our call center supervisor remote role, which is you have to be a Maryland resident, but it is a virtual opportunity. Our call center supervisor remote role in Kentucky. It is also a remote role, but you do have to be centralized to Kentucky. We have a training manager virtual role, and it does not have a state requirement of where you must reside. I will throw in that Pearl, as an organization, we are registered in 28 states. So you can't reside just anywhere working for us. I know some of the places that we don't offer employment is like Minnesota, Illinois, just to name a few places, but we are registered in 28 states. So take a look at each listing, and it will have, if there's a preference or if there's preferred locations or if there's any restrictions, we'll have that listed on the roll. In regards to the trainer, that's one opening that we have, and it's virtual. And our program analyst remote position is in Maryland as well. There are 6 openings for the program analyst role, and the others that I mentioned, there's one opening for each. So right now, we are looking to heavily staff our Phoenix call center, and we are hiring 100 customer service support associates for this role. This position will take inbound calls from individuals who need to have inbound questions regarding veteran care and veteran claims that military families and veterans may have. And so this position will service those families. You may have some inbound calls, may be responsible for communicating via IM chat. We are looking for immediate fulfillments of that customer support role. That position has a starting pay of $14.91, and it includes benefits and up to $1,000 bonus. It is a role that requires that you go on site for the first 30 days, but we're going to give you $500 bonus for going on site for those 30 days. After the 30 days, you're eligible for another $500 bonus after 90 days. And we will also provide the equipment. So it's a hybrid role, but you're only required to be on site for 30 days. There is another open role central to Phoenix, and it's completely virtual. It is a seasonal role. It supports the open enrollment. And so that is a OPM, it's listed there as the OPM customer service remote role. And that role has a starting pay of $14 an hour plus benefits. Those are the 2 that we are heavily recruiting for. And that has the most openings. But as I mentioned earlier, please feel free to visit the site. Anything that fits your skills or match your interests, we'd be more than happy to speak with you about and accept your application on. So Pearl Talent Acquisition Team, this is our Phoenix contacts. If anyone needs to get a hold of us or has any questions, this is the team that will be working on the projects that are in Phoenix. We are also a much larger team. We have about 12 talent acquisition specialists, consultants, and recruiters as a whole. But these are the individuals who will be closely working on these Phoenix roles. If anyone has any questions or would like to reach out to us directly about an application, we'd be more than happy to take that inquiry. Next slide. And are there any questions?
Thanks so much for that overview, Sharika. I'm sorry I was pronouncing it wrong earlier, Sharika. I mean, great opportunities. It's good to know the specifics of which states that you're operating in, so that's helpful. And we look forward to having you be a part of the breakout rooms as well for those that do have questions. To please meet up with Sharika in the breakout room, and bring your thoughts and questions to her there. It's so nice to see that there's so many opportunities available, not only in Arizona, but across the US. And just the fact that we just went over resumes, I feel that everybody is feeling, I hope that they're feeling that they're feeling equipped to be competitive in the market. And to continue with this conversation, we'd like to turn it over to the resources and section of our presentation today. Though we don't do specific surveys, we do offer an opportunity. If you have any feedback, we really would appreciate it, because it's true, feedback is a gift. Please email us at contact@careerconnectors.org with that feedback, because we just want to make these sessions better and better for you and make sure that we're providing you with what you need to be successful. Awesome. We would like to thank our partners. We couldn't do what we do today without our partners. I mean, it's such a wide range of partners as well. Hiring companies, organizations like the Resume Writers Council of Arizona, as you saw in full display today, their representatives really helped us with some really key information that help us through this process. And just again, in addition to that, we have assessments that you have access to. Please visit our website. We've got DISC assessments available. Here's the information about the blog we mentioned earlier, an event recap blog that will be up in a few days. So please take advantage, and also look at that for other blog recaps that were done for events that happened prior to today. There's a wealth of information there. And then also we're excited to reestablish and welcome back our professional portraits. As you know, with COVID, there was a lot of pause on that, but with professional portraits, we do have that opportunity available as well. And we'll be sharing that schedule with you in a few, because they'll be available throughout the state. And so we've got upcoming events. As you know, we've got our East Valley Jobapalooza happening on Thursday, September 23rd. Over 20 employers already have signed up. We've got our Master Your Mindset to Land Your Next Job happening on Thursday, October 14th. The hiring company that will be attending so far is called Venture. And then we'll also have a West Valley Jobapalooza coming up on Thursday, October 28th. And there we also have over 20 employers signed up. So please take advantage, mark your calendars. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Sheila to provide a sneak peek, because the East Valley Jobapalooza will be the first unveiling of our new platform for our virtual job fair. So Sheila, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm just getting the event lobby ready to share with you. Here we go. So when you join our event 2 weeks from today, I can't believe it's 2 weeks from today, but this is what the event lobby looks like. You can see I'm registered, so my picture is here, and on the left side it has some general things like a help icon with the question marks, and in the middle of the screen are our booths. And you can see that we have a booth, Career Connectors has a booth, so when you're in our event, if you have questions on that day, you can pop into our booth and chat with us there. And you can see when you hover over a booth, it kind of enlarges a little bit and you see a little bit more information. So here's pipelines, here's Arizona at Work, Maricopa counties, And then as you scroll down, because there's over 20 companies, so it's worth scrolling, you can go ahead and click enter on a booth, and then it takes you into the booth. Honor Health happens to have 3 tabs here. They have a home tab, and there you have to say see more to read more of what's down there. They also have a careers tab and then an about tab. And a lot of the booths have videos here that you can watch to get ready to learn more about the company. Honor has another fun thing in their booth. It says if you can't chat right now, you can leave them a note. So if for some reason you've popped in and you can't wait to chat, you can leave them a note. When the event is live, so on the 23rd, there's going to be a green chat button somewhere in this area of the screen. And if you're interested in chatting with that company whose booth you're in, you would just click chat. And if a representative's available, you'll go ahead and start chatting right away. If for some reason the representatives are tied up, you'll get in line. And then while you're in line, you can head back out to the lobby and go ahead and look through some of the other company booths and see where you might be interested in chatting. And you can get in line in multiple booths. And as soon as your turn is up, you'll see a system notification inviting you back to the booth to chat. And all of the chats will start out as a text chat, just like we have here in Zoom. But then the representative might invite you to either a voice or a video chat. So when you come on the 23rd, be ready, because you might be having interviews right there with company representatives. So we are super excited about this event. And you can watch your email for more information. As soon as you have registered for the event and gotten your account on Brazen, you can go ahead and pop into the lobby just like what I'm doing now and look around in the company booths before the day of the event to be prepared. So that is our little sneak peek.
So fun. Thanks so much for sharing, Sheila.
Yeah.
Awesome. And here are the list of some of the companies that have already committed to coming on the September 23rd East Valley Jobapalooza. Quite a few industries represented. And here's the information on the Pro Studio headshots we mentioned. So for example, here in fall headshot photo days, you'll see where Gordon has already scheduled to be in each of these cities. So please take advantage of these opportunities, because it's such a great way to really put your best self forward. As you know, professional headshots come in handy for not only LinkedIn, but also if you have a personal website, if you have social media, things like that. So it's just a great way to give your digital footprint a brush up. And also, please sign up for our e-updates at careerconnectors.org. As Sheila mentioned, that's where you'll hear about our upcoming events, hiring events, any updates that are happening. We want you to take advantage of the webinars that are posted on our website. Where, for example, we just had this opportunity where this session has been recorded, so that's where they'll be on the website as well. So please take advantage of those resources. And then also career chats with Jessica. We've got so much resources that Jessica has shared over the past year, and they're all housed there on our website. So please take advantage of that. Awesome. And then one of the things that we also want to just make sure that we do, and we couldn't do this work without our awesome volunteers. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from everybody from Zoom support, Gian Boldy, who's also a board member, event recap by Sherry Kerr, the Resume Writers Council of Arizona, and of course our coaches, Donna, Brenda, Jerry, Lucy, Gian, who's also serving as a coach, Jamie, Ted, and Pam. Thank you all so much for all you do to make Career Connectors what it is. And with that, we also are in need of additional volunteers. So if you'd like to share your skills to help, especially in the realm of blog writers right now, that's one of the key areas that we're looking to recruit more volunteers, please contact Sheila. And here's her website, Sheila@careerconnectors.org. We'd love to have you. And again, we can't do what we do without donations. So thank you to our prior donators, those that have given back to Career Connectors, not only by their time, but also by their resources, their finances. We'd love to invite you to help us connect professionals in career transition by donating on our website as well. And this is such a great quote to end on. The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are, by JP Morgan. Thank you all so much for being here today. I'll turn it over to Sheila to kick us off on the breakout rooms.
Awesome. Thank you, Sheila, so much. It's awesome to have you here. And of course, I'm a little bit partial to your name. So now is that we're finished with the formal presentations, and we're going to head over into breakout rooms. And if you haven't done breakout rooms before, don't worry. I'm going to show a really quick, very short video that'll show you how it looks. Here are the people that we have that will have rooms. We have all of the people from our resume panel. Thank you so much for being here. And we also have some